The great state of Alabama is known for so many historic things. Now, we've got mountains and statues and historical markers everywhere. We're home of many myths and folk tales, but who would guess that one of Alabama's most fascinating stories lies in the history of this rock? Here's the story of how one special star fell on Alabama. November 30th, 1954, an average day in the state of Alabama. The weather is nice and cool, preparing for the turn of winter. Hundreds of thousands of miles away, a mysterious rock begins to fall out of the sky at an extremely high rate of speed. A bright streak colors the sky, seen by folks all across the South, ending up in the atmosphere right above Sylacauga. Some thought it might be a missile. Some thought it was a plane. No one could have guessed where it was headed. Back in town, a young housewife in her mid-30s was preparing for a solid couple of hours of midday sleep. With a few hours left before her husband came home from cutting down trees the next town over, there's no way Mrs. Ann Hodges could have been prepared for what was literally about to hit her. The large space rock that went hurtling through the southern sky, the same one that many mistook for a broken plane, came crashing through the ceiling like a bullet, landing right on top of Mrs. Hodges. Within a few moments, what was supposed to be a couple of hours of rest for Mrs. Hodges changed her life forever when an 8.5-pound rock came hurling through her ceiling, falling onto a radio console and bouncing off her body, leaving a bruise that took up a majority of her side. And in that moment, she became the only documented human to be hit by a space rock and live to tell the story. When the news got out, a Florida State College astronomer told reporters that there's a better chance of getting hit by a tornado and a bolt of lightning and a hurricane all at the same time. A bit further down the road, that large rock that harmed Mrs. Hodges actually split in two before landing on Earth. Part of it landed in Hodges' home, while the other piece landed in a field. A farmer named Julius Kempis McKinney found a smaller piece of the meteorite a few miles away. Initially, he left it alone, but after hearing the news about Mrs. Hodges a few miles away, he went back to retrieve it and took it home to his kids to play with. After learning about all of the attention Mrs. Hodges was receiving over the meteorite, Mr. McKinney kept quiet and lawyered up. And that same piece of rock was used to make enough money to afford a new house and car. While Mr. McKinney had luck on his side, for Mrs. Hodges, life was turned upside down. First came the media, wanting more details about Ann's unusual experience. There were so many people at her home after the affair that she checked into the hospital, not over the large bruise on her side, but to get some peace and quiet from the drama at her home. Then came claims of who actually owned the rock. The Air Force initially took ownership of the rock and promised to return it to the Hodges household. But because the Hodges were tenants of their rented home, the landlady assumed that the rock should belong to her. Ann vehemently disagreed and said, "Suing is the only way she'll get it. I think God intended it for me. After all, it hit me." Then came the court battle. The landlady was given $500 to let Ann keep the rock. Even though Ann's fame surrounding the rock was short-lived, she made an appearance on the game show I've Got a Secret. There wasn't a soul in the United States who didn't know her name. But once the cameras left, Ann's husband tried to find a way to make some money with it. In the days following the crash, there were many rumors saying that the Hodges could make a big buck with the rock. But after getting the rock back, and a few unsuccessful attempts at getting paid, they settled for using it as a doorstop. Many, many years later, this same space rock is still garnering attention. In 2017, a piece of the meteorite sold for nearly $8,000, valued for the gold it had inside. As far as the Hodges meteorite goes, Ann gave it over to the University of Alabama in 1956 against the wishes of her husband. Now, in the end, her husband said she only made around $25 from the rock that turned her life inside out. You can still find the Hodges meteorite at the school to this day, while the piece found by Mr. McKinney is still owned by the Smithsonian Institute. And that's the story of the world's only person to get hit by a meteorite and live to tell the tale. Now, we know Alabama is full of wild stories, but this one is out of this world.